Yeah, but it's the you've got to say something about this whole hysteria about the use of the word Kaffir. And this is one of the things that's one of the sort of things that's the heart of this controversy about hate speech, because all these Marxist academics who've been in American universities for decades, they've basically worked up this theory that that social inequality is built into language, and it's very much like, it's almost, well, it is a Karl Marxist theory about how religion is the opiate of the people. In fact, religion is just a tool of the tool of the capitalist hegemony to reinforce their control of the proletariat using their minds. And so feminists and other Marxists have decided that social division and class oppression is built into language. And that's why a lot of them are so berserk about the use of words like nigger and Kaffir. And it's really serious. I mean, if somebody, even politician, judge, public figure uses the word nigger or Kaffir on public radio or TV or something, there's this nationwide hysteria, and people pounce on it, and they scream and yell and try to adduce this as evidence that the speaker is in fact a deeply racist, white supremacist, blah 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 blah. And the thing about hate speech and words like, we'll take Kaffir. I mean, Kaffir is a good example, because Kaffir is a word that's used in South Africa, and it's sort of I mean, like in South Africa these days, if a white person uses the word Kaffir ever, anywhere, he's going to get thrown in jail. Certainly if he's like a public figure, he'll lose his job. But what has to be kept in mind about these things is that it shouldn't be regarded by anyone as important, because it's completely hypocritical. I mean, people who talk about, say, I mean, the word nigger, I mean, if like the president used the word nigger, everyone would faint in horror. But you have, rap music videos and black people calling other black people nigger all the time. He didn't mean it in a pejorative sense. What? I mean, what? It's the way he said it. What? It's in fact hypocrisy. Nanometer thin hypocrisy. And that's why one shouldn't pay attention to it. I mean, there's all this phony outrage when anyone even looks like using the word. But it's phony outrage. They're acting. They're not really offended. They can't be offended. I mean, take the word Kaffir. I mean, Kaffir is an Arabic word. It was been, for 100 years, for hundreds of years, this white South Africans have used the word Kaffir to describe blacks. Even Winston Churchill used the word. Nobody thought of anything of it back then. But again, with phony outrage, people just sort of act as though it's the worst thing in the world. Well, the word Kaffir is actually an Arabic word. It's an Arabic word which means infidel. And it's very pejorative. I mean, if you understand Islam, the word Kaffir is very pejorative. It means somebody who's an infidel. They're not a Muslim. They're not even a Jew or a Christian. They're a pagan who's basically... A Kaffir is not a Christian or a Muslim or even a Christian or a Jew. A Kaffir is a pagan. And a Kaffir is a pagan, part of a prescribed religion by the Quran. And Kaffirs are subject to anything, they're subject to jihad. They're subject to being killed and all their wives and children and goods being sold. Their families being sold into slavery, their goods being commandeered and sold. Kaffirs have no rights in Islam. Now, the Afrikaners, the Dutch, got the word off the Arabs, and they just used it because it was what everyone was using. The same way the Afrikaans is a sort of a mishmash of Dutch and other languages because they just adopted whatever words everyone was using. Now, you can watch hundreds of videos where you will see all the new Arab immigrants to Europe, for example. Arabic speakers will use the word kuffar, which is basically the same word. But the Arabs in Europe use the word kuffar routinely to talk about white Europeans. And it's a word they use just for Christians or anyone who isn't on their side. And they use it in the exact same pejorative sense. And even Arabs in South Africa use the word Kaffir in the same pejorative sense. And they don't, no one ever tells them not to. No one ever faints in outrage. No one ever rises up in rage and riots in the street. The Arabs call everyone else Kaffirs all the time, routinely, and no one gets upset. Why is that? It's because this Marxist, it's a Jesuit oath. I mean, it's the Marxist war on white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Anything they do is the worst thing in the world. If it's exactly the same as what anyone else does, it doesn't matter. It's a crime against humanity. But yeah, I mean, why? I mean, why this hypocrisy? You've got to ask yourself why. It's this sub-nanometer thin, utterly empty hypocrisy that feminists and the Marxists are always going on about. You know, like, oh, faint. He uses, and I mean, how seriously can you take these people? I mean, lots of people on the internet have been commenting that, like, feminists will hear about some secretary downtown walking past a construction site. And the construction workers will whistle and cheer at the attractive secretaries walking past, and so what? Oh yeah. This is the worst, most egregious, most foul, oppressive degradation of the dignity of women, blah blah blah, and they will go on and on about it like it's murder. But again, when gangs of Muslim men rape the shit out of innocent innocent young teenagers. They don't do anything. They don't say anything. Stunning silence. They don't give a shit. They just don't care. Why? Is it because they're all Jewish feminists, don't give a damn about Goyim, and it's just the Goyim fighting, and who cares? But yeah, I mean, stunning hypocrisy. These great warriors of social justice warriors and defenders of the dignity of the the victim class. Where are they when something real actually happens? They're gone.